Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Welcome back to the e-commerce marketing podcast, everyone. I am your host, Arlen Robinson, and today we have a very special guest, Bernie Thompson. Bernie runs an 8-figure electronics brand, founded the e-commerce tools company Efficient Era, and is the author of the book Flywheels and Feedback Loops, a guide to success for private label sellers. When he's not running his business, you can usually find him on top of a mountain near Seattle, Washington. Welcome to the podcast, Bernie.
Hey, Arlen. Great to be with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Well, Bernie, why don't you, before we get started, the topic for today's discussion is going to be, improving your products, how to move your products up in Amazon product search, which I know a lot of Amazon sellers are always struggling to do. So I know this is it's going to be an interesting discussion today and very timely. But before we get into that, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got started and where you got to, how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, great. I don't know what the heck I'm doing on this podcast, Arlen, because I am not a marketer. I'm actually a geek. I'm more of a tech guy. Nope. But actually, I started this electronics company called Pluggable Technologies in 2009 with the goal of being a better device company, really focused on kind of products and technology and customer service. And around that time, Amazon was really on the rise. And so was able to kind of focus on Amazon as a sales channel and really let Amazon do, to some degree, all the sales and to some degree, most of my marketing. Now, as the years have gone on, Amazon has become a much more crowded platform, and our own marketing efforts have become, very critical, and it's very difficult. You really got to do all the right things to be successful on Amazon today. But yeah, and so as part of doing that, and some of these things are related to marketing, I had to write a lot of software automation to make things scale on Amazon and to create the right interactions kind of related to that. The book you mentioned, the Flywheels and Feedback Loops, to make sure the right things were happening with customers that would eventually result in good reviews and better sales. And so that software, we've got big enough that we've spun it out and offer it to other sellers. And there's about 600 other companies that sell on Amazon that use our Efficient Era software. Okay. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that sounds awesome. Well, as far as Amazon is concerned, I know we have a fair share of our listeners that are already selling products online and on Amazon. And I know there's some people that are out there that are interested in selling on Amazon. But of course, the main concern and the main question is going to be, how do you improve your search results? So if, let's say I'm selling umbrellas and somebody goes to Amazon, types in umbrellas, how do I improve my result listing so that I appear higher up? That's really the number one question. How does somebody even begin to start improving where they end up in the Amazon results?
Right. Yeah. You search on umbrellas on Amazon, you're probably going to get 50,000 or 100,000 products back from that.
Right. I can imagine.
You could have the best umbrella in the world, the highest quality, most awesome umbrella at the best price. And that first day when you launch it on Amazon, it's going to sit there at the bottom of those 100,000 search results. Okay. And that's just the reality of Amazon.
Gotcha.
So it's really multifaceted. I mean, you've got to have a great listing that when people... Well, okay, so let's start. You got to have a great title and main image that are compelling, that are accurate, so that when your product finally does come up in somebody's search results for a particular search, that you've got a high conversion rate from impressions to somebody clicking on that and looking at the details of your product. Then the rest of your product listing, again, needs to be high quality, compelling. The quality of your listing, reflects on the quality of your product. I mean, they don't really know the quality of your product. So in a sense, only your listing can kind of speak to, what the quality of the product is.
Right.
And it's got to be the product they're looking for. So whatever it was that you, let's just say, advertised for, the product better be really appropriate for that search, or else you're going to now lose, you're not going to have conversions from, those detail page views to an actual sale.
Right.
So once you've got a product, that is described as accurately and with as high quality as possible, then it's all really about kind of feeding the front end of that funnel. You've got a high converting funnel, hopefully at that point, at least for certain audiences. Mm-hmm. And now it's a matter of, getting that right audience to come to your product. And, really the number one thing for everybody today, even people who used to be kind of into Amazon gamesmanship of various sorts over the last few years, today the number one way really for everybody is on Amazon ads, sponsored products ads.
Gotcha.
Amazon's ad business is going gangbusters. I think last quarter it was some kind of crazy increase in revenue Amazon had for ads, up to a few $1 billion a quarter.
Oh, wow.
There's a reason for that. They're very effective. You're basically, when you're spending money on ads and you're saying, my umbrella is special because, it's got, it's more durable because it's got, kind of steel, something instead of aluminum, for the supports on the umbrella. If you can advertise on those characteristics of your product that are actually, superior and or things people are looking for, drive those people to your listing, have that be high converting, that those people look at the product, like it, buy it, and then positively submit positive reviews for it. Mm-hmm. Amazon's system is all designed around that feedback loop. Amazon is constantly looking at historical data to say, is this the right product for this keyword? And are these people having good experiences? Mm-hmm. And then they push you up in organic search results for those keywords.
Right.
So these sponsored products ads are really the way that you create data points for Amazon's algorithms, or another way of saying it is you're training Amazon.
I see.
On what your product is high converting for and what it's not. So that's, those are probably the number one things, the listing and the ads. There's other things that people do that start, shading into things of a little bit of either gray manipulation of the system or even kind of black hat manipulation of the system.
Okay.
But Amazon is constantly, trying to reduce the effectiveness of those things. And so great listings and well-targeted ads are the things that will kind of never change.
I see. Now, is it possible to increase your rankings, so to speak, as far as the results are concerned, without doing the sponsored ads, or is it just you're going to get a better chance to kind of, raise your hand in the Amazon system when you're doing these sponsored ads?
Yeah, the sponsored ads are pretty much essential now. One of the kind of gray things that has been popular the last few years is pretty much giving away a lot of units or doing 90% off sales, mm-hmm. and then having something called a two-step URL where in order to get that discount, you tell people to go search for something on Amazon, okay. and then that product that you're selling at a huge discount will come up for that search.
Okay.
And that is providing data to Amazon. You're basically trying to motivate customers through a very large discount to do a search behavior that then Amazon will use as an input and mm-hmm. say, okay, this is a high converting product for that keyword.
I see.
But Amazon has been, that's been another one of these practices where Amazon has cracked down on aspects of it.
Okay.
There's ways you can still do that still work, but like a good company that kind of focuses on that area is a company called Viralon, and they're all about those big giveaways and these mechanisms of trying to get the buyers of the big giveaways to do specific searches before they buy, so that you're basically feeding Amazon keyword associations between the product and those keywords. Mm-hmm. But sponsored product ads are a way of doing that, not just for one or a small set of keywords. You can do, you could be advertising on hundreds or thousands of keywords, and it is truly as designed. I mean, you're just showing ads to people, and Amazon, it's a completely white hat method of basically training Amazon's algorithms.
I see. So yeah, I see things have changed quite a bit as far as their sponsored ads are concerned. And I hadn't heard about that strategy of having people do specific searches, but it makes sense because at the bottom line is, on the back end, Amazon is, there's a whole algorithm figuring out what searches are returning what results and what are people clicking on after they search for a certain keyword. So yep. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I can definitely see how they could quite easily crack down on that. But, I guess there's other ways to improve your rankings. Now, I know one of the concerns that a lot of people have when, existing in the Amazon ecosystem or even considering jumping in there is, am I going to, as a business, am I going to be handing over control of my customers to Amazon? Is there a risk in losing customers, actually? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's absolutely a huge trade-off. We do have this tool set of our own, Efficient Era, and one of the things it does is ad automation, covering the stuff we just talked about. But that tool is also in the Amazon App Store, which is in Seller Central. And in order to get into that App Store, we actually had to remove a bunch of features. Amazon asked us to remove a bunch of features related to customer connection.
Wow.
Because we were basically trying to, help you kind of find customers that maybe were repeat buyers or large order buyers. We were trying to, we were providing features to connect customers with reviews. And, absolutely, contractually, as part of your agreement of selling on Amazon and just the way Amazon systems work, Amazon is trying to maintain complete control over the customer, which is really interesting because, that's on one side of the coin. On the other side of the coin, when it comes to taxes and regulation and things like that, Amazon will say, "Oh, we're not the seller. It's not our customer. It's that third party customer's customer."
Right.
So they try to have it both ways depending on what's beneficial to them.
Right.
But absolutely, Amazon, makes it either impossible or contractually difficult for you to ever contact your customer again after they buy from you. Certainly, it's part of the contract very explicitly not to remarket back to that customer.
Okay.
So one of the big challenges on Amazon is you need to be able to, when you launch a new product, drive momentum and traffic to Amazon to get that flywheel spinning, to get that data, to get those sales into the top of the funnel and to move your product up in search results. But if you hand all of your customers to Amazon, you will have no assets in terms of a customer base that you can directly market to and that can sustain your business over time. You'll be wholly dependent on your Amazon search position and have no control over your own. They really aren't your customers.
Okay, I see.
And it's a balancing act, and I think every smart, especially private label seller, every brand on Amazon needs to think about this carefully. And it's probably that you do both in the sense of you have to be prepared to hand your customers to Amazon in order to launch new products and get momentum spun up on those. But as products mature and you kind of have gotten to the position you want to be on Amazon, you need to start actually taking some of those, not handing all of those sales to Amazon and actually, building some of your own customer base.
Okay.
Just so you have some, customer assets in terms of emails, phone numbers, addresses that you can remarket to, so that you can then launch those future products.
Okay.
So there is a little bit of a kind of a life cycle there around, building customer assets when Amazon is really, trying to prevent that. That's
really interesting. And you actually answered one of my later questions that I was going to ask you as far as relying totally on Amazon as your main vehicle for selling your products. There could be businesses out there that are, they've got a product down. They want to get it out there like, okay, great. I'm going to go through Amazon. I'm going to sell everything on Amazon. I don't want to have to worry about coming up with my own website. I don't want to worry about the credit card processing, any of that, the fulfillment, the shipping. Let me just hand everything over to Amazon. So what you're effectively saying is that may not necessarily be the best idea because as far as the customers are concerned, you really don't own the customers. And essentially, if you're going that route, you really have no assets other than your actual product.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's a touchy situation. It's very interesting seeing because Amazon is really an open marketplace per se, but in a way, not really. I mean, they are and they aren't. So they kind of try to play both sides of it, but everything that they are doing is really beneficial for them. So I think what sellers really have to really understand, as you mentioned, is you have to really be concerned about your interests and building your own customer relationships with platforms that are outside of Amazon. Now, Amazon can definitely be a great complementary channel for sure, and there's a lot of people profiting from it. You can't have all of your eggs in one basket, which I think rings true with not only this situation, but pretty much everything.
Yeah, but it's tough with Amazon because Amazon is where the volume is.
Right.
Today in the United States, if you're selling a physical good and you're not selling on Amazon, you're really not selling at all. You're not really reaching the market. There's a few categories where Amazon's not dominant, but more and more, any sort of kind of small consumer good, Amazon is either approaching or above 50%, e-commerce market share here in the U.S.
Wow, yeah, that's huge, really. Now, you talked about ways in which getting people to go to Amazon, doing the searches, and trying to drive people to your listings there. How do Amazon sellers really effectively create a marketing funnel, to continually bring in more customers? Of course, we talked about the sponsored listings, improving your, getting your captivating titles and descriptions and all of that. But outside of the whole Amazon ecosystem, really, what are some other ways to get a continual marketing funnel in place?
Yeah, and I think it's really, it's classic marketing. While once you get a product up in search results on Amazon, you're going to have a kind of a continuous order stream and revenue stream to get it to that position. And then, also to keep it, you've got to do all the things brands have done forever, in terms of educating the market, content marketing, text and video, Amazon advertising, developing those customer assets like email lists and using them effectively.
Right.
Really the full gamut. I mean, the seller, the Amazon focused sellers even who are very successful today, there's very few of them that aren't very sophisticated and very good about all the traditional marketing techniques. In the end, often their goal is kind of expressed in terms of getting Amazon search results up, but the techniques they use to achieve that and to feed the top of the marketing funnel are all the techniques that marketers have been working on forever.
Gotcha. So those things don't really change. That those same techniques exist no matter what the channel is. So yeah, that totally makes sense. One of the things that I've been really wondering myself, because I am a Amazon Prime subscriber, and I order a lot from Amazon, and it saves me a whole lot of time, as it does most people. One of the things that I've noticed, and I've always wondered how this affects Amazon sellers, is their recent push to develop and create their own products. They have their own. It just seems like it just kind of came out of nowhere. There's this, I guess, Amazon Basics is what they call it, with some of their categories of products. They're making clothing now. I've purchased different electronic peripherals and cords and things like that, and they all have that Amazon Basics on it. And the pricing seems to be really good. They really seem to be competitive as far as the pricing compared to some other products. Do you think their push to put out their own products, is that really going to have an effect or pose a threat on the everyday Amazon seller?
Yeah, absolutely. It creates a top on your kind of a high end on your success on Amazon. Okay. We've now had twice in our company's existence where we had gotten to the top of a large category in Amazon, had the best-selling product. And it's only a matter of time before Amazon Basics, in our case with electronics, will come in and basically look at all the characteristics of that top seller and duplicate it. Okay. It happened, we sell USB products, so it happened, we were the number one selling USB hub. Amazon Basics did that. We've been the number one selling USB docking station. Amazon Basics just did that this spring. Wow. And in fact, in both of those two cases, they actually sourced from the same supplier we're using.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I mean, it's straight up, they're just analyzing who's the top seller, and we're just going to do that. Okay. And then on top of that, they're willing to lose money for long periods of time. Prime Day this year, that dock that they is essentially identical to ours from the same supplier with kind of a different case around it. They were actually selling it at below the cost they were sourcing it for.
Okay, wow.
On Prime Day. So they were actually prepared to pay customers on Prime Day to buy their product.
Okay.
And, how the heck do you compete with that?
Yeah.
And the answer is you don't.
Right.
Once Amazon, and it's interesting. I mean, this is, I don't know kind of what Jeff's thinking, but, that side of Amazon's business, if you look at their financials, is always kind of struggling to make money. Mm-hmm. Whereas the most profitable side of their business is the side of services for sellers and the marketplace side.
Right.
So right now, at least today, Amazon is prepared to take lower margins in aggregate and actually negative margins in lots of specific circumstances to help their own house brands, even though they have a way to make more money very easily by just not doing that and making their money off the third-party sales.
Right.
So, wow, what a weird and ugly reality, for third-party sellers. And it's not just electronics with Amazon Basics, like you're mentioning, clothes. Amazon has several dozen brands, and many of them are not recognizable. Like in dresses, there's Larkin Row. They've got furniture. They've got, just all kinds of stuff that are under these brands that don't have the word Amazon in them. And they're all doing the same thing. They're looking at top sellers. They're using all that data that Amazon has to go, put Amazon-owned brands on the Amazon market. So, and so what you do is you stay out of the way of all that.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about it. It's not in your power to do anything about that. Amazon has huge resources, and if this is what they choose to do, they're going to do it. So for us, we just basically need to, try to both be differentiated and know that if we have a big seller, that the clock is ticking, and that's not too long before Amazon themselves will take away that big seller, and that we just need to, our business needs to be prepared for that.
Yeah, that's totally true. You really can't fight it. Like you said, you just have to be prepared to adjust with it. And, they're not going anywhere. I think with Amazon, their whole school of thought, I think, with coming up with all these products, even though they may be taking a loss on it, is just, to get people comfortable with their particular brands and to eventually over time, I think, try to get more market share on it. Because I know when they first came out with these different products that at least had their labeling on it or their name on it, I was a little skeptical on buying some of them. So I did kind of think twice, and I think they're trying to kind of ease that with purchasers and customers so that people are comfortable with what they're putting out there. But I think, the main lesson with all of this is just like you said, treating Amazon just as another channel. You can get success with it. You can make some money with it, but you can't totally rely on it as your, the end all be all channel. It's just like pay-per-click advertising with Google ads. It's a good channel, but you shouldn't totally rely on it. There's a lot of people making money, but you've got to have your other channels in place. And so I think looking at it like that, I think you'll be safe. And, just, like anything, you've got to kind of spread out there and then, try to get those customers from a variety of different places. The sellers will do well, for sure.
Yep.
Bernie, I appreciate all of the information that you've provided. You've provided a wealth of information about Amazon and what a seller can do and the do's and don'ts and really kind of the whole landscape. We haven't really covered it too much on this podcast before. But before I let you go, I always like to ask my guests, just to kind of change of subjects here, what is one thing that our audience would be surprised to know about you? And it could be anything.
You mentioned in the lead-in that I do like to hike and get out into the mountains here in Seattle, which is quite beautiful. 2 years in a row, I've hiked to the top of one of the local volcanoes here, Mount St. Helens, the one that blew in 1980. We've got a tradition where we hike up the mountain in dresses.
Okay.
So I've hiked to the top of the top of a volcano in a dress multiple times.
Oh, wow. I guess that is definitely something that the audience would be surprised to hear. Hiking up to Mount St. Helens in a dress. Very interesting. Well, yeah, we appreciate sharing that little tidbit. That I couldn't imagine doing that, actually. Not at all. I'm sure that was quite an experience.
Oh, it's fun, actually. If you ever get a chance to come hiking in the Pacific Northwest, it's pretty awesome.
Okay, great. I'll definitely do that. And Bernie, if any of our listeners want to reach out to you, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can get the copy of the book by going to efficientera.com/flywheels. And ultimately, the book does, of course, sell on Amazon.
Okay.
And then you can just email me at bernie@efficientera.com, and we'll get you connected with any kind of questions or requests that you have.
Okay, great. That sounds awesome. Well, thanks again, Bernie, for joining us today on the e-commerce marketing podcast. And yeah, you provided a wealth of knowledge about Amazon.
Great. Thanks, Arlen.
Thanks. Thank you for listening to the e-commerce marketing podcast. You need to get more feedback and reviews from your customers and improve your customer retention? We have made it easy to do all of this with our advanced customer feedback software. Just visit getosi.com/feedback and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com/feedback.